I'm sure you've heard, seen, and read a lot about the potential of internet marketing to get your business customers. But if you've tried it, you know that it's not as easy as the hype makes it sound. What is easy is spending lots of time and money on AdWords or SEO or social media, but not seeing the returns. In our workshop today, I'd like to change that for you and give you clarity. If you want to get the full benefit of this workshop, get out a pen and paper or open up Word in another window and do the exercises when they come up for each W. So, let's begin. What are these 5 W's of attracting customers online? If you remember the 5 W's from way back in elementary school, they are who, what, where, when, and why. We're going to use those 5 W's to answer our H. How? How are you going to attract customers using the internet? Our first W is who. Who is your target audience? Who do your products and services help? Our natural instinct is to make this as broad as possible. That way, we have more potential customers and we can help more people. But for today, I want to encourage you to quell this urge. When we talk about our target audience, so target means a specific aim. Think of your marketing message as your arrow. If you aim at the bullseye, or at any other ring that you're trying to hit, you have a decent chance of hitting it. But what happens if I take my arrow and I try to hit all the rings at once? Well, yeah, you're probably not going to hit any of them. Saying this is if you try to be everything to everybody, you will end up being nothing to nobody. Too broad a marketing message in the hopes to get a broad audience will usually end up appealing to no one. So, the first key to effective marketing is knowing who specifically you're targeting. Let's take 2 people with businesses whom we're going to follow throughout this workshop. The first is Anna. Anna has a homemade ice cream shop in New Haven, Connecticut. If you would ask Anna who her target audience is, she could say, well, it's people who like ice cream, which I imagine is over 90% of the people on the face of this planet. That's quite a broad target audience. And even if you say all the people who like ice cream in New Haven, that's still pretty broad. Let's try to narrow it down a little bit. If we take people who like ice cream, Anna can break that into mothers with small children, college students, we have plenty of those in New Haven, and teenage girls who like to go out and hang out in ice cream shops. Let's look at our next person. Let's look at Robert. Robert is an editor and offers editing services. He might say his target audience is anyone who wants their writing edited. But again, let's break it down. Robert could target authors who want their books edited, or website owners who have either written copy for their website themselves or have hired others to do it for them and now want this copy edited, or universities putting out journals and they want the articles given a final edit. Whether you're Anna or you're Robert, you're going to target these people differently. Now, before you say, I don't want to limit myself, why am I breaking down the group of people who I could be helping into small segments and going to pick one of those? Don't worry. Even if you're going to break it down and pick one, it's not forever. You can and you will help everyone who can possibly be helped with your product or your service. but it needs to be done segment by segment. Once you have a great working plan for one, then you can go back and you can make a new plan for the next. But again, if you try to help everyone at the same time, you're not going to be able to reach any of them. Your turn. Again, as I mentioned at the beginning, this is interactive, and I want you to come out with a personal working plan for your own internet marketing. So, our first exercise for our Who W is, who do your products or services help? Write down the most general definition you can, and then break that into 3 specific cases, as we did for Anna and for Robert. Take a break, put this on pause, we're not going anywhere. Go ahead, write it down, and we'll see you soon. Once you've written down your who, let's target that even more with a why. Why would they want to buy what you offer? Understanding motivations is critical in knowing how to reach people. This doesn't just apply in marketing. This applies throughout life. Let's take a life example. You're standing in a preschool, and you see one child hit another child. There are probably multiple different reasons why that might be happening. Let's explore 2 of them. One reason could be that this child is smaller than the other children, and everyone keeps taking his toys away. He feels powerless, and the only way that he can assert himself is to hit. Another child might be hitting because his teacher doesn't pay attention to him unless he's doing something wrong. So it's a play for attention. Either way, an adult seeing this situation happening would need to react to it in 2 different ways. If the child is hitting because he feels powerless, so you need to figure out how to be able to give him that feeling of power without hitting. If the child is hitting because he just wants the attention, then you may need to figure out how to pay more attention to him when he's doing positive things and give him positive reinforcement for attention. Either way, you need to figure out the motivation before you can react and reach the child effectively. Let's go and see how that applies to marketing. Let's take a look at Anna. Anna decided to target her college students. So, why might college students be going to buy homemade ice cream? Reason number 1 is they want to relax and de-stress. College, especially at some of the New Haven colleges, like the Ivy League ones, is a stressful experience, and ice cream might have the association of, I'm going to relax now, I'm going to de-stress. That's their motivation for going to buy the ice cream. Another motivation might be that they come from far away in the country. This is their first real time away from home. And this ice cream might remind them of an ice cream stand back home. It's a home reminder, and it's there to alleviate their homesickness. Another reason might be that the New Haven summers are kind of hot and humid, and especially if they come from a cooler climate, or maybe their dorm room doesn't have air conditioning, so they just want to cool down, which is definitely a motivation, but very different than the other 2. Let's move over to Robert. We're going to go with the segment of authors who want their books edited, and here too we see different motivations. Some authors might be aspiring first-time authors. They've never submitted a manuscript before, they're a bit nervous about it, and they want to hire an editor to make it look more professional, so they feel more confident about submitting it to a publisher. Other authors might be publishing a book based on speeches. They're very eloquent speakers, but they're not such good writers when it comes to transferring the spoken word to the written word. So they'll hire Robert in order to do that transfer and make a professional, smooth-looking book out of their speeches. Other authors might even be experienced and might even have the capacity to do the writing and the editing themselves, but they're very busy, they're prolific authors, or they're busy in other ways, and they don't have the time or the patience to edit it. So they want to get an outside editor like Robert to do it for them. Your turn now. Take one of your specific cases that you listed in the last exercise and list 3 different reasons why they would want to buy what you offer. Get into their heads, think about it. 3 separate motivations. We'll see you when you finish. What? Our third W. What message are you going to send to attract this target customer now that you know who you're targeting? This message should flow directly from the who and the why. So, if you've done those correctly, defining the message should be easy. Let's take the example of Anna. Anna's homemade ice cream helps you relax amid the stresses of college life. We have the who, the specific who, the college student, and we have the motivation of relaxing amid the stresses. Going over to Robert, we have Robert's editing services, gives aspiring authors' manuscripts the professional look so they can submit them with confidence. Again, the who, the aspiring authors, and the why, getting to the confidence aspect. And so if you've defined your who well and specifically, and you've touched a particular motivation, then that should speak directly to that target audience. Now, let's do your turn. Define your core message. And again, this should be a restatement of your who and your why. A tagline is good, but if that's all you say, it's going to get a bit annoying. So, let's have another what. What content based on this message are you going to share to attract this target customer? It should be supporting your message, supporting the tagline. So for Anna, we would have, she could write an article about the top 10 places to chill in New Haven. Again, it's directed toward that same target audience segment, the college students, and addressing the same motivation, that desire to relax and just get away from the stresses of Yale or University of New Haven or wherever they are. And taking this into another direction, she could talk about the 5-minute meditation for stressed out students. For Robert, he could write content along the lines of how to make a publisher take notice of your manuscript, or 5 things that give a manuscript that professional feel. Things that his target audience is going to want to know about and to connect to. Your turn again. List 3 ideas of content you can produce that support your core message. Okay, you have your content, you have your message. Let's go to W number 4, the where. Now, note that nothing up until now has been unique to online marketing, and that's deliberate. There are a lot of things to do on the internet and a lot of places you can be. People will tell you you need to be on, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Google+. You need. But those are all just tools. They're the same as advertising in a magazine or going to networking groups. If you don't have a plan behind your usage of these tools, they're more useless than useful, which is why I didn't start at this slide. But now you have the background. So you should be able to effectively use these tools. So, where? Where are you going to share your content and your message? Before we jump into all the different things you can do, let's go back again to the plan. You need to know your audience. Where are they involved online? Well, we'll talk about Facebook, and Facebook is great. If your audience does not use Facebook, forget about it. You're wasting your time being there. Part of figuring out where your audience is doing market research, and that's a whole workshop on its own. But the basic idea is talk to people who fit your ideal client profile and ask. If you're Anna and you're not sure exactly where the New Haven College students hang out online, so go talk to a few, go walk onto campus, and do it in a way that won't make you look very strange, but walk onto campus, find some students. I'm sure if you live in New Haven, you have connections with some of the students, and ask them, where are you involved online? Where do you get your information? When you want to know where to go and relax, where do you get that kind of information? Where can you market online? So this is not an exhaustive list of the tools, but it's pretty comprehensive. We have in the blue the web resources that you own, which would be your website and your blog and your mailing list. Then we have in green resources that other people own, say other people's email lists or blogs, Yahoo groups, forums. And in orange, down at the bottom, we have a sampling of the more popular social media networks on today: Twitter, Facebook, Google+, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Pinterest. So let's start. Your own website and blog. This is generally a good thing to have. If you're going to be doing any other marketing online, your website is going to be the backbone. If you publish content, if you want people to be able to find you in Google or Bing, if you want to fully control and own your web presence, while you might be able to build a presence on Facebook, remember, Facebook could at any point in time decide to erase lots of information or just take themselves offline, and everything you have built and published there would be lost. So if you want more control, your website and blog is a good place to go. Let's take a look at what Robert did with his website. Robert builds a website which describes his editing services. On the website, he publishes a blog called The Path to Published. Remember again, he's targeting aspiring writers who want to be published for the first time. Robert researches the right keywords to optimize his site for, and he uses them in the right places on the page, a skill set in and of itself. And then he also works to get people to link to his site and the articles that he's published on his blog. If you look down at the bottom, we have on the bottom of each slide over here some resources, because what we're talking about is really the tip of the iceberg when it comes to using any individual tool. So if you look at the resources down at the bottom, you'll get some more information. Your mailing list. If you want a direct line to your potential customers, a mailing list is a thing to build up. Again, they've opted in, they're listening. You have to hope they actually open their mail. I know from experiences with our own mailing lists, sometimes people sign up and then never seem to open their mail, yet they don't unsubscribe at the same time. So you wonder why. But in any event, if they open their mail, and even if they don't this time, there's always a chance for next time, you have a direct line. They're actually interested, or they've said they're interested in listening to you. If you want to have a mailing list, it's good to provide a compelling reason to sign up. Either it's the information itself that you're going to be providing, or sometimes it's a free ebook or some other kind of free offer. Let's see what Anna does for her homemade ice cream shop. Anna sets up a mailing list for New Haven College students to let them know about her store's special offers and about other eatery deals and deals on fun things to do in New Haven. For as incentive, if the information wasn't enough, she also offers a coupon for a free scoop to any college student who signs up to the list. And now that they've signed up, they are listening ears for whatever she is going to put out there. Next, we're going to go on to the resources that you might have access to, but you don't necessarily control. First up is other people's email lists or blogs. If you can find people who target the same audience as you, but are not direct competitors, you might be able to get access to their audience if you can provide content or a joint venture that they will be interested in. So Robert, for example, writes guest posts for blogs of writing coaches. As Robert is an editor, a writing coach is a complementary service, not a competitive service. So he writes a blog post called 3 Ways to Give That Final Polish to Your Manuscript. And he contacts a writing coach and he says, I have this blog post that I think might be relevant to your audience. The writing coach agrees. And now Robert has exposure to a much wider audience who he might not have been able to reach otherwise. He also contacts a literary agent and asks if he can write some helpful tips for the agent's mailing list, along with a brief description of his services. And then, what's in it for the agent over here? Robert says that he'll give the agent a finder's fee for any new clients that came through her mailing list. The resources at the bottom are about guest blogging and helpful tips on finding blogs to guest blog on and doing it in an effective way. Yahoo groups. This is an oldie but goodie, and depending where you are in the world, oftentimes there's a local one, and people belong to a local one, but it does go beyond just locale. If you can find an active group on the topic or the locale of your business, this could be helpful to you. One caveat over here is that you should be able to participate helpfully on the group beyond promoting yourself. If all you do is sign up and then every so often drop an ad, people won't take so kindly to that. So do make sure you can contribute in a way that people will see as helpful. So Anna joins a Yahoo group for New Haven citizen activities and also one for Yale students. And she posts there about her special offers with a message tailored to the target audience in each group. Because if you think about both of those groups, the New Haven citizen activities are going to be more the families who would be interested in her ice cream shop. And the Yale students is a different audience. They might have different motivations. So she's going to have to target them and talk to them differently. But Anna also answers general New Haven questions that come up. She doesn't just post about special ice cream shop offers. If people have other questions, she's a New Haven resident and she answers helpfully. Robert joins the Writing and Publishing Yahoo group, and he also answers questions there helpfully. And at the same time, he posts tips and links to his articles about making a manuscript look professional and other related topics. The link down at the bottom is the link to the general Yahoo Groups page, so go there, type in some search words, and see if you can find anything relevant to you. Forums. Similar to Yahoo Groups, they're also good to use if you can find an active forum on a topic or locale of your business, something both about forums and Yahoo Groups. You want to see how active they are. If on the Yahoo Groups list it says last post was 10 months ago, you probably don't want to put your effort into joining and posting there. Same thing with a forum. If the last post on that forum was in 2008, move on, find something else. So Robert becomes a member on the forums of writers.net, thebookmarketingnetwork.com, and writersbeat.com, all active forums in the writing and publishing world. And he contributes helpfully in the discussions, and on occasion, not too often, so as not to be annoying, posts helpful tips and links to his articles about getting a manuscript ready to send to a publisher. Happens to be, if you want to be publishing content, sometimes these forums and groups can actually be helpful ideas of what kind of content you should be publishing. What do people want to see? And if you find there's really no good resource for what they're asking about, write it yourself. And then certainly you can publish the link and tell everyone about it on the group. We're moving on to the new kid on the block, social media. And everyone's so excited about it, but remember, it's a tool. Like everything else, it's only as helpful as what you can do with it. So if you see that any given social media network, or even social media as a whole, is not going to work for you, drop it and find another tool. But let's see what we can do. First off is Facebook. And Facebook itself has about 3 different ways that you can use Facebook. It requires a workshop in and of itself to know all the details on how to use Facebook, but we'll give a brief overview right now. A Facebook profile is personal. That is not for business. That is where you can have friends, you friend each other. It needs to be mutual, and then you can see all the details about each other and what you write and what status updates you post. Again, this is not for business. Don't use it for blatant self-promotion or for blatant promotion of anyone else. It's against Facebook's terms of service, and they have and will close accounts down once they find out about it. It doesn't mean you won't see anyone still around with names like Mr. Cell Phone or Mrs. Diet Drink, but when Facebook catches up to Mr. Phone and Ms. Drink, so their friends, their profile, everything they've built there will disappear. Just not worth it. If you're much more subtle about it, if on your profile you post a link to a page that describes some of your services, and you do that on occasion, and it's very subtle, I don't know whether it's against their terms of service or not. You'll probably be okay. Just be careful with it. If you do want to be actively promoting a business, then you start a page. And on a page you can have fans, people like the page. And that's where you can actively post about business offers and business updates and anything related to the promotion of your business. A group is a bunch of people on Facebook who participate around a certain topic, much like a forum. Let's see what Anna does on Facebook. Anna makes her Anna's Homemade Ice Cream page, where she posts her own and other articles on relaxing in New Haven and her store's special offers. She offers any new fan of her page a coupon for a free ice cream scoop, and she has business cards in her store promoting the deal. She also asks 2 college students who she knows to spread the word about the page and the coupon among their friends. Moving on to LinkedIn. LinkedIn is good for business-to-business networking and marketing. It's good for presenting a full picture of your professional skills and experience, the type of resume you can create on LinkedIn with recommendations and details and skills is very comprehensive. And people can see also how connected you are to them once you do the networking and you connect to the different people you know and people in your industry. Then whenever people do a search or they see your name come up, they can see if you are directly connected to them through somebody else, and as most of us know, when we see that we have someone in common with someone else, we tend to trust them more. LinkedIn is also good for participating in groups based on specific professions like medicine or catering or other commonalities, locale, ethnicity, religion. There are a lot of groups out there. Some more active, some less active, some more relevant, some filled with spam, although it's not so bad on most LinkedIn groups. So look around and see what's relevant to your business. A word about the groups is that oftentimes it's wise to participate in groups that are not just about your industry, but are more about the targets of your industry. So if, let's say, you do catering, it's good to participate not just in the group for caterers, because those are not going to be your clients, but to participate in the group of, say, small businesses or large businesses in your area, because those people might actually be interested in getting catering for an event or something like that. Robert on LinkedIn presents a very compelling picture of his skills as an editor in his LinkedIn profile. He makes sure that he connects with anyone he knows from real life and other social networks, and he joins groups centered on the writing and publishing industry, participates in the discussion, and sometimes posts links to helpful articles he's written on getting published. Twitter. Twitter is good for targeting a slightly more techie crowd than those who frequent Facebook, say. Twitter happens to be very good for making initial contacts, because unlike Facebook, where before you can actually talk to someone, you need to friend them and they need to decide whether they want to hear from you or not, with Twitter you can address people and they can see what you're saying to them even before you connect with them personally. Even before they follow you, you follow them. Twitter is also good for sharing links, which is pretty important because Twitter is limited to 140 characters per tweet. And you can't say all that much in 140 characters. So if you say something that interests people enough to click on the link that you attach to the message, then that can get people to go deeper into what you've written or what you're sharing that other people have written. Twitter is also good for participating in Twitter chats on topics in your niche. That's when people decide at a particular time to all talk about a particular topic on Twitter, and they use the hash symbol and a particular word that signifies the chat so that people will be able to follow it and see what everyone is saying. And that can be very helpful if it's a chat that people who are influencers or your potential clients are involved in. So Robert follows people who have aspiring author in their bios, as well as people who are good sources of information about the publishing industry. He tweets links about getting published, both his own and others. And Robert also joins the Book Pro chat and participates actively there. YouTube. YouTube is valuable, both for what you can do on YouTube itself and for the value it provides off YouTube. Within YouTube, YouTube itself is the second largest search engine. People go directly to YouTube to search for information. So if you're there and you're coming up in the search results over there, it can be very helpful for the exposure of your information and your company. And Google itself, when people search on Google, Google, who owns YouTube, will often show videos for a search query, and usually the videos they show are from YouTube. Additionally, if you want to share videos on Facebook or on your blog, you have to host it somewhere. And while sometimes you can self-host it, it's oftentimes easier and more feasible to host it on YouTube and then embed it on the other social networks or on your own site. So if you have entertaining or informative material that can be presented visually, YouTube is a great place to try. Anna is not over here. YouTube was not relevant to her ice cream business. As we've seen, you choose only the tools that work for you. So we're going to introduce Sylvia, who has a different kind of business. She sells hand-dyed silk scarves. And Sylvia creates an animated video series on how many ways can you tie a scarf. Robert, the editor, he gets in here too, and he makes a video with a visual audit of a manuscript, highlighting common formatting mistakes that make a manuscript look less professional. So even if your business isn't directly visual, you don't have a business about silk scarves, then you may still be able to find a creative way to use video to promote your business. Pinterest, also a visual service and even more visual than YouTube. If your products or services are visual in nature, jewelry, floral arrangements, interior design, Pinterest can be very helpful. But even if it's not that you have entertaining or informative material that's visually appealing, you still may be able to use Pinterest to your advantage depending if your target audience is there and is interested. Pinterest itself, because it's a newer social network, I'll just explain a little bit more about it. Basically, the idea is that you can have pin boards that are kind of these virtual bulletin boards where you can pin images. These can be your own images, these can be other images, and then other people can see your pin boards, and then they can pin your pins, your images, onto their boards or share your boards, and then thus your images, and if they represent your business, so your business can spread visually to your potential clients. So Sylvia is very good at using Pinterest. She makes different themed pin boards, pinning her scarves and other scarves. If all you do is pin your own items, so you may not get very far, but if you pin other people's images and then they find out about it, so that can attract their interest. She also follows other Pinterest members who seem to be interested in fashion and accessories. And Sylvia creates this long infographic, a long picture that shows information, called 10 Ways to Get More Out of a Scarf, and pins it on its own pin board. Google+. Google+ is good for connecting with a technologically advanced audience, even more so than Twitter. It's also good for the SEO, the search engine optimization of your website and blog. If you want your posts and pages to show up in a Google search for your topic, Google is putting more emphasis on what gets shown and shared on Google+. So to the extent that you may or may not have seen this yet, depending on how connected you are on Google+, and if you're signed into Google or not, but Google is more and more personalizing results, and the most recent type of personalization has been to show Google+ people and things that were posted on Google+ as higher up in a Google search. Now, while here's a very direct impact of social media, of Google+ on SEO, all social media, to some extent, impacts on SEO. Google is putting more emphasis on trust and on authority. It's not just a matter of how many links do you have anymore. It's where are those links from? And are they from people who Google deems as influencers in your niche, which is oftentimes based on how active they are on social media. Google has a lot of ways of tracking these things. So the worlds are converging, the social media worlds, the SEO worlds, and so the more active you are on social media, and active doesn't mean tweeting out lots and lots of links and or getting lots of fake followers. It means really being active, having people interact with you, having engagement from people who Google sees as authorities, as active, involved people in a particular area. If you can do that, that will either directly or indirectly oftentimes impact on how your site and your pages rank. Google+ also is good for segmenting the messages you send to different audiences. On Google Plus, you can put people in circles. You can have circles for family and for friends and for different industries. And then you can share things specifically with a particular circle. And so your whole range of people you're connected with won't see it, only the people who it's relevant for. So Robert uses keywords relating to his profession very clearly in key areas in his Google Plus profile. What those key areas are is discussed further down in the resources. He connects with other members of the writing and publishing industry, and he puts different niches, authors, journal editors, in different circles. Robert shares helpful articles, his own and others, with his circles, and makes sure to optimize the titles for SEO. And he creates special hangouts, which are multi-person video chats that you can do on Google+, where he does live audits of manuscripts for invitees. Now, it's your turn. A lot of information, so put this on pause and take some time, and list 3 places online where you can be involved to attract your ideal customer, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Facebook, it's your blog, it's an email list. Pick 3 places like that, and then list 2 ways of participating in each place. What are you going to write? What are you going to share? How are you going to interact? What are you going to do that you feel will directly bring you to communicating with and attracting your ideal customer? Take a break and go for it. Our last W is when. When are you going to share this amazing content with your audience? Let's take an example about when you would tell something important to your spouse. Well, you would only tell them something really important that you want them to respond well to when they are listening, and that encompasses both physical listening. They're actually there and able to hear you. They're not in a different room or in a different town. And when they are listening emotionally, they're able to turn their attention to you and to fully concentrate and be receptive to what you're saying. Sharing with your ideal clients is the same way. They need to be listening physically. They need to be online and in whatever forum you're targeting. This takes into account time zone. This takes into account when they would check that particular form of social media. They obviously don't always have to be online, depending on what the context is. If it's a forum where people come back and check the messages, so they don't have to be online there necessarily. But let's say if you're posting on social media, you're posting on Facebook, you're posting on Twitter, it's going to make a difference exactly when you post it, if they're there and able to hear it or get it or see it at that particular time. So you need to know, do they check Facebook when they're at work, or do they check Facebook when they're not at work? When do they check LinkedIn? Is it at work or is it not at work? When will they be able to hear your updates and be present for that? And the second facet is, when is your ideal client listening emotionally? When will they be receptive to whatever message you're sending? For Anna and her homemade ice cream, and Anna wants to target stressed out college students, so a very opportune time might be during finals. When college students are studying for finals, they may get so stressed out that the thought of, I just need to take a break. Ice cream, that sounds like a great idea. That would really help me de-stress. That's what I need right now. That may be an opportune time for Anna to send that message. And for Sylvia, who sells her hand-dyed scarves, so women during holiday season, when people are thinking about gifts and giving gifts and getting gifts, that may be a very opportune time for her to do her marketing. Your turn. Write down 2 factors in when your customer will be listening physically. When should you be communicating with them? And then write down 2 factors in when your customer will be listening emotionally. When would they be most receptive to hearing and responding to your message? We're done. You've made it through the 5 W's to help you get clarity on how to effectively use internet marketing to attract actual customers. But don't stop here. Make sure you apply what you wrote down. Make sure you go through the steps and now actually do it. Use who the customers are, why they are interested in what you're going to buy. Create that content. Go onto the social networks or the other online forums that you thought would be relevant and use them. Post at the right times. If you feel you need a little bit more guidance, that this wasn't enough, at Speciphilia, we have one-on-one programs and workshops for multiple participants, where you get personal guidance to developing the marketing plan for your business that will give you a clear, defined path to getting customers through marketing online. You can check out our programs at the page below or email me directly so we can discuss what you need to attract customers. Good luck! I'm looking forward to hearing about your success attracting customers online.